Welcome to the Bible Quiz, where we embark on a thrilling journey through the depths of the Old Testament. Today, we've curated a collection of 25 engaging questions designed to test your knowledge of the Scriptures. So prepare yourself for an extraordinary adventure through the annals of the Old Testament. But before we unravel the mystery, I urge you to subscribe to our channel and show your support by liking this video. Your participation allows us to expand the reach of God's timeless teachings. We eagerly await your participation and feedback as we study the Scriptures together. Are you ready to delve into the rich tapestry of ancient events and figures? Let's get started. Question 1. What did God do to disrupt the building of the Tower of Babel? A. Move the tower. B. Cause the tower to collapse. C. Hide construction materials. D. Obfuscate the language. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Obfuscate the language. God prevented the construction of the Tower of Babel by confusing human language because people did not respect and avoid God. This was seen as a penalty, causing confusion and hindering their ability to communicate effectively, leading to abandonment of the project. This incident is quoted in Genesis, chapter 11, verse 7. Question 2. What was the name of the Old Testament figure who was thrown into a den of lions but miraculously spared by God? A. Daniel. B. Ezra. C. Mordecai. D. Nehemiah. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Daniel. In Daniel chapter 6, Daniel is thrown into a den of lions as punishment for praying to God. However, God spares him from harm and he emerges unscathed. This miraculous event showcases God's protection of his faithful servant. Question 3. What was the last plague that occurred in Egypt? A. Overwhelm. B. Grasshopper. C. Pandemic. D. Death of first child. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Death of first child. The last plague that occurred in Egypt, as recounted in Exodus chapter 12, was the death of the firstborn child in every Egyptian household. This devastating event finally convinced Pharaoh to release the Israelites from slavery. Question 4. What were the two plagues that physically tormented the Egyptians? A. Boils and leprosy. B. Leprosy and mosquitoes. C. Mosquitoes and pimples. D. Loss of sight and hearing. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Mosquitoes and pimples. Of the 10 plagues that befell Egypt, 2 of them specifically tormented the Egyptians physically. These are the plague of mosquitoes in Exodus chapter 8, verses 16 to 19, and the plague of boils or festering sores in Exodus chapter 9, verses 8 to 12. These sufferings were a sign of God's power and judgment over Pharaoh's refusal to let the Israelites go. Question 5. Which famous queen came to test Solomon's wisdom with riddles? A. Cleopatra. B. Queen of Sheba. C. Queen of Babylon. D. Queen Elizabeth II. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba came to test Solomon's wisdom with difficult questions and riddles, as described in 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 1 to 3, and 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verses 1 to 2. She was impressed by his intelligence and the prosperity of his kingdom. Dear one, make sure to click the subscribe button so you can stay in the loop and catch all our upcoming videos. Question 6. Who said, "The Lord has made me master of all Egypt"? A. Aaron. B. Simon. C. Joseph. D. Moses. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Joseph. Joseph said this to his brothers when they went to Egypt in search of food during the famine. It is recorded in Genesis chapter 45, verse 8, where Joseph revealed his identity to them and reassured them of God's provision. Question 7. What army did God submerge in the Red Sea through Moses? A. Egyptian army. B. Assyrian army. C. Babylonian army. D. Philistine army. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Egyptian army. The Egyptian army pursued the Israelites as they fled Egypt across the divided waters of the Red Sea. However, God caused the waters to return, drowning the entire Egyptian army, as recounted in Exodus chapter 14, verses 26 to 28. Question 8. What does the Lord tell Solomon will heal his people's land from plagues? A. Faith. B. Pride. C. Understanding. D. Humility. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Humility. In 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, the Lord urged Solomon that if his people, who are called by his name, would humble themselves, pray, seek his face, and turn from their evil ways evil, he will listen, forgive their sins, and heal their land. Question 9. To whom did God say, "I will never again curse the ground because of man, even though his heart has every evil inclination from his youth"? A. Moses. B. Noah. C. Ezekiel. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Noah. God promised this to Noah after the flood, as recorded in Genesis chapter 8, verses 21 to 22. It signifies God's covenant with Noah and every living creature, promising never again to destroy all life on earth with a flood. Question 10. God gave David 3 punishment options with David's choice. How many people did the plague kill in Israel? A. 1 man. B. 7,000 people. C. 70,000 people. D. 1,100 people. You get 10 seconds. That's C. 70,000 people. After David sinned while taking a census of Israel, God gave him 3 options for punishment. God punished the Israelites after David took a census to warn them about pride and to realize the consequences of sinning before him. David chose a plague that killed 70,000 people, as recounted in 2 Samuel chapter 24, verses 10 to 15. Question 11. Who did God call from Ur to Canaan? A. Abraham. B. David. C. Moses. D. Huckleberry Finn. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Abraham. God called Abraham, originally named Abram, from Ur of the Chaldeans to Canaan, as described in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 to 5. This marked the beginning of God's covenant with Abraham and the promise of a great nation. Question 12. Who asked this question to God? Your father said, "I am coming to you," and they asked him, "What is your name?" A. Isaiah. B. Moses. C. Aristotle. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Moses. Moses asked these questions of God at the burning bush when God brought him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. This conversation is recorded in Exodus chapter 3, verses 13 to 14, and marks the beginning of Moses' journey as a leader and prophet. Question 13. Who said, "Did God really say, 'You shall not eat of any tree in the garden'?" A. Angel. B. Adam. C. Deceiver. D. Snake. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Snake. The serpent, often understood to be Satan, asked Eve about God's command not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the Garden of Eden. This conversation is recorded in Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 to 5. Question 14. He was not just a prophet, he was also an author, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Who is he supposed to be? A. Jesus. B. Noah. C. Moses. D. Abraham. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Moses. Moses is traditionally considered the author of the first 5 books of the Old Testament, known as the Pentateuch, or Torah. These books include Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and they contain the foundational stories and laws of the Israelites. Question 15. Why did God bring disaster on Jerusalem and several cities of Judah? A. They worship other gods. B. They work on Sunday. C. They have no faith in God. D. They do not follow religious rituals. You get 10 seconds. That's A. They worship other gods. God brought disaster on Jerusalem and the cities of Judah because the people stubbornly worshipped idols, were wicked, and did not obey his commands. This resulted in the destruction of Jerusalem and the exile in Babylon, as prophesied by the prophets Jeremiah and others. This judgment is described in various passages throughout the books of Kings, Chronicles, and the prophets. Question 16. Israel split into two kingdoms after King Solomon's reign, with Israel in the north and which kingdom in the south? A. Edom. B. Judas. C. Moab. D. Damascus. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Judas. After the reign of King Solomon, Israel divided into two kingdoms, Israel in the north, consisting of 10 tribes, and Judah in the south, consisting of the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. This split occurred due to political and religious tensions, as recorded in 1 Kings chapter 12, verses 1 to 24. Question 17. Why are God's children taught to keep the Sabbath day holy? A. Respect God's commands. B. To relax. C. Promote spiritual reflection and renewal. D. To commemorate the seventh day of his rest. You get 10 seconds. That's D. To commemorate the seventh day of his rest. Keeping the Sabbath holy is a commandment given by God to his people to honor and remember his creation of the world for 6 days, with the seventh day designated as a day of rest. This is also a time for reflection, worship, and spiritual rejuvenation. This commandment is repeated in various passages, including Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 to 11, and Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 12 to 15. Question 18. Water enough to flood the world has to come from somewhere. Where did the Great Flood originate? A. Hell. B. Red Sea. C. Great Abyss and Heaven. D. Garden of Eden. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Great Abyss and Heaven. The Great Flood, as described in the Bible, originated in both heaven, where rain fell continuously for 40 days and 40 nights, and the abyss, where the fountains of the great abyss gushed forth flow. This catastrophic event resulted in a flood across the earth, as recounted in Genesis chapter 7, verses 11 to 12. Question 19. After Israel was defeated by Assyria, the southern kingdom finally fell into the hands of which power? A. Babylon. B. Egypt. C. Persia. D. Mesopotamia. You get 10 seconds. That's A. Babylon. After the northern kingdom of Israel was defeated and exiled by the Assyrians, the southern kingdom of Judah fell to the Babylonians. This conquest led to the destruction of Jerusalem and the exile of the people of Judah to Babylon, as prophesied by the prophet Jeremiah. This event is recorded in 2 Kings chapter 25, verses 1 to 21, and Jeremiah chapter 52, verses 1 to 30. Question 20. How many sons did patriarch Abraham have? A. 9, B. 8, C. 4, D. 2. You get 10 seconds. That's C. 8. Patriarch Abraham had a total of 8 children. Ishmael was born of Hagar, while Isaac was born of Sarah, Abraham's wife. After Sarah died, he married Keturah and had 6 more children. This information is found in Genesis chapter 16, chapter 21, and Genesis chapter 25, verses 1 to 2. Question 21. Who built the first altar to God? A. Isaac, B. Moses, C. Jacob, D. Noah. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Noah. Noah built the first altar to God after the flood, as mentioned in Genesis chapter 8, verse 20. He offered burnt offerings on the altar as a way of expressing gratitude to God for saving him and his family during the flood. Question 22. Which Old Testament character was swallowed by a large fish? A. Daniel, B. Elijah, C. Jonah, D. Employment. You get 10 seconds. That's C. Jonah. The Old Testament character who was swallowed by the great fish was Jonah. This event is recorded in the book of Jonah, where Jonah was swallowed by a great fish after trying to flee from God's command to the people of Nineveh. Question 23. Who was Jesse's youngest son and later became the famous king of Israel? A. David, B. Saul, C. Absalom, D. Solomon. You get 10 seconds. That's A. David. Jesse's youngest son, David, later became the famous king of Israel. He was anointed as the future king by the prophet Samuel, and he famously defeated the giant Goliath. David's story is recorded in 1 Samuel, and his reign is detailed in 2 Samuel. Question 24. Which woman is known for her bravery in saving Israeli spies and her family during the conquest of Jericho? A. Ruth, B. Rahab, C. Esther, D. Deborah. You get 10 seconds. That's B. Rahab. Rahab is famous for her bravery in rescuing Israeli spies and her family during the conquest of Jericho. She hid the spies on the rooftop and helped them escape safely. This story is told in Joshua, chapter 2. Question 25. In which river was Naaman, the Syrian commander, invited by the prophet Elias to bathe to cure his leprosy? A. Tigris, B. Nile. C. Euphrates. D. Jordan. You get 10 seconds. That's D. Jordan. Naaman, the Syrian commander, was invited by the prophet Elisha to bathe in the Jordan River to cure his leprosy. Initially reluctant, Naaman followed Elisha's instructions and was miraculously healed after dipping into the Jordan River 7 times. This story is found in 2 Kings chapter 5. Oh wow, what a remarkable exploration of Old Testament characters and events. How did you find the journey? Whether you discover hidden gems or are reminded of familiar stories, it's clear that the stories of the Old Testament are rich with lessons about faith, resilience, and perseverance. If you found this quiz enlightening, don't forget to show your appreciation by liking the video and sharing it with others. Let's spread the wisdom and inspiration found in these ancient stories. And for more fascinating trivia and thoughtful reflections on the Old Testament, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Your feedback is invaluable, so please share your thoughts, questions, or ideas for future quizzes in the comments section below. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the pages of the Old Testament. May these stories of faith and courage continue to inspire and guide you in your own steps of faith.